Hi, and welcome to Adelante Raza. And as always, we would like to remind you that the show Adelante Raza is your show. It's a show for our raza, the place that we've created with the help of our executive producers to create a place of inspiration, a place of encouragement, and a place of refuge and hope for all of us. Today, we're very excited because we've been enjoying this gentleman's music and his entertainment for a long time. We have with us tonight little Andy Rojo. He is a singer, entertainer, songwriter, and he's the lead singer of the town Bumptown. As always, we want to give our deep respect and thanks to our executive producers from Cast Rock Media, Sol Rodriguez and Cassandra Delat. You can also reach them at www.castrockmedia.com. And without them, we wouldn't be doing this. They are just anyway. I could go on and on. We also like to talk and thank a gentleman who's always there for us. And we want to give a shout out to Primo Torres, DJ Primo, Classic Vibe Radio. You can listen to his radio station on www.classicviberadio.com.
And we would also like to thank Lisa Almeida with Tender Loving Covers for all of her wonderful blankets that she makes for the homeless children. And she's still in need of volunteers. You could reach her at 626-233-1245. What she's doing is great. Please get in touch with her, and she really could use some help.
We'd also like to mention our good friend Cheryl Lola Lucero at Indian Report Radio Show in Denver, Colorado. Thank you, Lola, for being a supporter, and we would encourage you all to check her internet radio show out. We also like to give a shout out to our good friend and leader and mastermind of the Latin Dance Soul Band, Mr. Phil Avila Sr. They'll be coming up soon. They'll be playing at our Chicano Woodstock, which we're going to mention shortly. But he has opportunities to come to your own home or baptismo or whatever you want, but they're out for hire. Phil Avila Sr. and the Latin Dance Soul Band. We also like to say hello to our good friend Frankie Fierman out there from East LA Review. We want you people to, come out and support him and all the wonderful things that he does on his radio station. And lastly but not least, we want to talk about real briefly on September 19th, put this on your calendar, September 19th, 2015, we are having the Chicano Woodstock. It is the first annual Raza Pride Day Arts and Culture Festival. It's a combination of arts, festivals. The Churro Man will be there, Raspados. We're going to have wonderful people out there.
Taco Lady.
The Taco Lady. Our guest here, Andy Rojo, is also going to be entertaining, so we want you to come on out and be a part of that. It's going to be a one-day event from 10 o'clock in the morning till 9:30 at night. It's a day that we are creating for you, for our raza, for our communities to come on out and enjoy just one day where you can feel good about being Chicano, about listening to your music. We don't care what you do. Come on out and dance to the music, enjoy some food, enjoy a day of community and
family fun and entertainment.
And we'll be putting up more information about that.
There will also be car clubs because there's going to be a car show also. So we do have pre-registration forms. You could come online and you could get those if you want to pre-register your car for the event. And the fees for pre-registration are $15, and the fee for the day of the event registration will be $20.
And that's for cars, and you can bring your bikes too, or whatever has two wheels. We'll judge it. We'll give you a trophy. We'll do something. You just come on out, and we'll find something on that day. And like I said, we created this for our communities for a one day. It's free to the public, but we are charging for vendors and for the car clubs. This event is being done in partnership with the David Toro Foundation. The David Toro Foundation is set up to provide free and low-cost pet immunizations, spay and neutering clinics, and chips for your animals. And you know how we like our animals. They're how Raza is. Our animals are part of our of our family. So much so that I'm sure that in your own backyard you must have at least 2 or 3 of your pets buried already. So anyway, we're going to support the David Toro Foundation as part of this first annual Raza Pride Day. It's going to be at Fleming Park, September the 19th, like I said, 2015, from 10 o'clock in the morning till 9:30 in the evening, and we would like you to all come out and participate. So now we're going to get to the real fun part of this whole why we're here. And it's our honor and privilege to be interviewing someone that we've been following for a while, since we've been on Facebook and other things. Part of my wife's collection of the entertainers that she follows. She's always stalking these people on Facebook.
I don't stalk them.
But we're happy to have Andy Rojo with us here tonight, the lead singer, songwriter, entertainer extraordinaire, the mastermind behind the band Bumptown. Andy, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So we've already been talking about it a little bit, and we've already kind of almost had an interview in our green room over here before we started. So we're going to tag team on you. So
Right.
Reina, you bump in there anytime you want to. But I'm going to start out. A lot of you don't know, you may know or not, and Andy's very prolific on his own Facebook pages, so he's had the opportunity to be telling his family history and his own story on there if you're paying attention. And I certainly have. And that's one of the things that intrigued me about you, Andy, was the fact that you're just not an entertainer, but it's actually in your DNA. You were born into an entertainment family.
Right.
So I know you've been asked this before, but what was it like, growing up in an entertainment family?
Well, it was very interesting. There was a lot of people came to our home and visited our home, and we used to call them uncles and aunts. And they weren't really uncles and aunts, but they were performers, entertainers. I grew up to a family of circus people. My mom and dad were performers, and so were my brothers and sisters. At the time I came to realize, who my family was, what we were about, I was a little kid, and I remember whenever they performed, they would bring the top name, the star of the show, over to our house after the show, and there was a hangout after, to where it became the party house after the show. So they would bring whoever was on the card at the time, and I would wake up to that in the middle of the night because I was a little kid, I was asleep, and I'd wake up and go to the living room, and there they were, partying and having conversation, and yeah. So our neighbors were the ones that were always asking, "Who's coming to your house today?" Who's it was interesting.
And there were some famous people, or people who became famous later, and we won't. We talked about one individual, but that was that must have been very interesting for you.
Yeah, there's a story in our family that we always talk about, and it's one of the biggest ones because we lived in TJ, and there was a lot of clubs back then where you'd go and sit and have dinner and watch a performance, and there's still this club's still there, but now it's a bar. But it used to be called El Aloha. It was a bar, a club at the time, where you would go with your wife and partner, whatever, and watch a show. And they were usually performing there. My brothers were Los Cometas, my brother and my sisters, and.
Excuse me, and for those of you that don't know what cometas means, it is comets, right?
Right, the Comets.
Sorry I had to say that because
the Comets were a group of children acrobats that traveled all over the place, not just Mexico. They opened for big names and stuff. But at the time they were performing at the Aloha, and that specific day, the Platters were the opening act. They were actually the main act. Right. And they brought him to our house. And I don't know who they were at the time. I was like 5 or 6 years old. But I remember waking up to them having burritos and coffee in our living room. And as we grew up, I was like, well, who's those people? That was the Platters. And to us, it was like, it's just somebody else, But it was the Platters, the original Platters.
So you got a real good education from the get, because that was probably a place where they came to let their hair down,
right?
To have some drinks,
sure,
and they probably talk shop, right?
Right. They were normal people, just like everybody else. Anybody that came to our home, whether it was family or not, that it was home. So my parents always made it home. It was a place to go and have a drink. Basically, in those days, drinking was big, and my dad had this open bar all the time, and it was ready. Yes. Yeah.
So like all the entertainers, you probably that was probably a very good schooling because, like I said, they probably talk shop and they're probably like, well, I didn't do so well, and you're probably taking notes.
But aside from that, we had as I was growing, my brother Armando, my brother Art, who are older. I'm the last one out of 15 kids.
Yeah, I was going to say that for those of you who don't know, when he said family, he meant family, familia, with a big F.
So they each had groups, bands that they used to rehearse in our living room again, and anybody came and rehearsed at our house, and so that was something that I used to sit and watch over and over and over again, and they would invite me as a little kid, come and sing with us or whatever, and I'd be like, no, but I'd be doing it in my head,
of course,
the whole time. Everything that they would rehearse, I would rehearse, but in my head. And so that's how I learned how to do stuff, how to watch and how to listen, and I was actually performing with them when they didn't know I was.
Wow.
So you were in an entertainment family, but was it like you knew this is what you were going to do, be an entertainer, or is it something that they said, your mother all of a sudden, she's making tortillas, said, but mijo, do you want to be an entertainer or don't you?
I remember my dad sitting me down, I think I might have been like 7 or 6, and he raised the question. He said, do you want to perform? You want to be part of the group, or do you want to go to school? And I said, I want to go to school. Because I loved what they were doing, and I wanted to be a part of it, but secretly. I never said anything, but I didn't like the rehearsing part of it. It was really rough. It was really hard, and they worked hard at it. But when they performed, there was no flaws. It was perfection. It was excellent. But to me, it was like I don't want to go through that. I want to go to school. They would get up at 4 a.m.
Wow.
That was too much like work. Huh?
Yes, they would get up 4 a.m, rehearse, and then go to school.
Wow.
So my choice was this or school. I said school.
I'm gonna sleep later.
I would have said school too.
Yes, wow. but as far as performing, I never really performed as a kid. There was a time that I went with my sister and traveled in the circus for about a month or 2. And they were trying to get me to do stuff back then, but I didn't want to. I just went to go and see what it was like because I never actually lived that. I was the youngest one, so I didn't live through that. But it was interesting, and it's a really hard life. I can tell you that. Even at that young age, I knew this is crazy. But my very actual first performance, and it wasn't a performance. It was a family dinner. When we went to a restaurant, and it was I can't remember how old I was. I must have been like 11, and we were at a restaurant in Vegas, and I could have been older. I don't remember, but there was a trio playing, and I was watching them go from table to table, and I thought, I want to sing a song. And my whole family's sitting eating, and everybody's enjoying and whatever. And I go to the bathroom, and I ran into one of the trio guys, and I says, "Hey, listen, do you play this song?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, can I sing it?" He goes, "Sure. We'll go to your table. Where are you at?" And so they went to our table, and my mom and dad were like, we didn't call these guys over here. So they start playing, and I get up and I start singing, and they were like, "What?" That was my first actual performance.
Wow.
With my parents. And they were really proud. I could see my mom had a little tear in her eye, and they were like, to me it was my way of coming out to them that I was a singer in
You're
a
paying
sense.
close attention. Yes.
But so your family gave you a choice.
Right. Yes.
So it wasn't like a foregone conclusion that
No.
I'm going to be an entertainer. I could have been a whatever else.
I never thought of becoming an entertainer in any way. It's just I don't think any of my brothers and sisters did. My oldest brothers and my older sister had no choice. They were put up to it, and it was a financial thing. Thanks to them, our family survived financially because they became who they became, and they made good money, enough to support a big family.
Yeah.
And my dad was doing performances, but even though he was very well known and a big name, and he drew crowds of 5,000 just with himself by himself, doing shows for to give money for charity, and most of the money that he would make was in donation to either schools, hospitals, or police stations. Different things, different causes, and so most of his money went towards things like that. Yeah, he wasn't a man that wanted to live big and have big cars and expensive clothes, and he was just wanted to be giving. He was a really giving person.
So that's my next question. Well, how and you probably already answered it, but it's how influential were your parents in your life?
Very, very much. Mostly my mother. My father influenced me in the way that I live my life, the way that I present myself. He was a very classy, well-dressed, caring person, and my mother was really tender. And as far as schooling me, there was every day that I had a conversation with her as a kid, as far as I can remember, it was a lesson. It was a lesson about how to be and how to walk and how to hold hands with a lady, how to walk with her and how to treat her. And every day there was something that she put in my head, and I remember that. I remember every single thing.
You just brought some memory to me. I was almost going to have some tears. My mother was the same way.
Yes.
Your mother just had a birthday, right?
Yes.
Happy
yes.
birthday.
You want to say happy birthday?
Feliz cumpleaños, madre. Yeah, 88 years old.
Yeah. You're lucky to have your mother.
Yes,
So.
yes, I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Yes.
So your mother was the most influential person in your life.
As far as singing wise, yes. Well, my father was a singer, but he never really sang. He was an entertainer in a different way. But my mother was, everything about her was singing. Everything that she was involved had to do with singing, and she still sings to this day. 3 in the morning, she's singing.
Really?
They gotta get up and tell her mom it's 3 in the morning.
She's losing track of day and night.
Right.
Yeah, my father
Yes.
did. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But she's singing at least, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She sings. She sings all the time.
That's good.
beautiful is
She
that?
probably sang to you when you were in her womb too, probably. She probably sang to you, probably.
You know, my mother sang all the time, so it was mostly, that's the reason why I love the type of music that I love, mostly because it's what she sang at the time. And I love all kinds of music, but when it comes to boleros, it's like, I don't care where I'm at. You know, if there's a trio and they're playing boleros, that's
break it out, right?
Yes, yes.
Who else influenced you in your? I mean, as far as anything. I mean, who? Because we're talking about the entertainer Andy Rojo, but I mean, you're much more than that, you know. People.
Well, it's just basically for me was family. My brother Art was a guy that was hard in the street. He was streetwise smart, but he taught himself how to play piano, guitar, drums, bass. He played every instrument and he played it well, and he sang, and he basically filled every foot in music, and he was really good at it. And so I used to watch him a lot. He doesn't know that. He knows that I really look up to him, up to a stand, but not like that.
His name is what?
Arturo Sueña.
You're gonna know now, Arturo. Does he watch the internet or anything?
I don't know what he does.
We'll send him a copy of it.
He met a lot of big names during the time that he was doing all this stuff. Like I said, they used to come and rehearse at our house. There was names that I can tell you, it's just many of them, but they're all well-known names now. Yeah. And I believe he had a lot to do with their upbringing and in music. And because back then there was nowhere to go and rehearse and practice other than your house. And if it wasn't our house, I don't know where else they would go. And a lot of the groups in the area ended up at our house rehearsing, practicing, and yeah.
You said you lived in Tijuana.
Right.
I lived in Tijuana. I lived in Tijuana. Yeah, I lived in Tijuana too. Yes. So it's interesting. Did you say the Platters came down to?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
You grew up with all that. So basically, and didn't surprise me that you would say that you're most of the time that the influences your family were your own family with such a large family. I mean, how can you help not, right? So, you know, and that your mother was the influence. And I heard something that was very important, that something's near and dear to Theresia and I, why we bring people on board, because we know that we just knew from watching you and how you conduct yourself that somebody must have put some good sense of respect and morals and upbringing in your life, you know. And we often tell people, I mean, we ask them, how important is that, do you think, nowadays in our culture?
Well, for our culture especially, I was raised basically to be me, you know. No matter what I'm doing, no matter where I'm at, I'm me no matter what. And there's a saying that my dad used to always, when he was fixing stuff, is like, you know, if you can't find it, you make it. So in my case is, you have to like me for who I am, and if you don't, then you don't like me, because I'm nobody else. I'm me. And they, my parents were always, like I said, giving and respectful and humble overall. I mean, they did it all, and they did big things, no things. You know, they were just humble people and caring, and they welcomed anybody, and respect was a big thing. My dad was one of those people that would just have to look at you if you did wrong. He would just look at you. He didn't have to say anything, and you knew already.
That's when you knew the chocolate was coming from around the corner.
There was no chocolate. His eyesight was just enough.
Right?
He would just look at you and say, "You're saying the wrong thing."
Exactly.
Yes.
That's an art. I mean, my father had the same ability. My father was. He was not a very educated man, but he was. You know, if you know what I mean. And he was a laborer. I mean, he was blue collar all his life, and. You know, basically, I can't even remember him laying a hand on me maybe once or twice.
Right,
but
exactly.
It was mostly that, you know.
That look.
You stop whatever, you know. Even if you were out in the street being a diablo, somebody said, you know what, your dad, you were like, what? You know, put down whatever you were doing, put out whatever you were smoking, and you go home, because you knew if you did it, and then your father would be looking at you.
Yes.
And probably your mother was like my mother. She was chanclazos, maybe?
No,
but yeah, I'm just saying the mother.
No, you know, I never got hit.
You're the little.
I never got hit. I never got.
Okay.
I never. I remember maybe one time maybe they yelled at me, and I was lucky.
You got away with the yell.
Because I used to see how they disciplined my older siblings, and it wasn't nice. But no.
And he said, "Oh, no way, not me."
You know, my mother's father was a music conductor, an orchestra conductor in the circus, and he was he fixed it. He wasn't educated. He didn't go to school. But he taught himself how to read and how to fix. He would fix all the instruments, and he would learn how. I don't know how he would do it, but the story is that he would fix every instrument for the orchestra. If something went wrong, he was the one that took care of him. But he was apparently a really, really good band leader, and so that was his thing, and that's where our music really basically comes from, I believe, because he played every instrument again, and taught himself how to do it, and so that was my mother's father, and I think that's where our musical roots really come from. He did that most of his life. And it was just in the circus, but it was a big band.
Well, people in the circus take a bad rap a lot. I mean, as a kid, was that rough? I mean, when you have to interact with other kids. I know you have a big family, so you probably stuck together. But I mean, sometimes, did people go, "Oh, you're one of those circus people," or whatever?
No, because I never really lived that.
Mm-hmm.
My brothers and sisters were the ones that performed and all that. I never had any negativity on anything on that at all. But we. No, I never ran into that.
Excellent.
In fact, we were always wanting to become our friends and stuff because we were the Rojos and the Rojo kids.
Cool.
Yeah, if you notice, I said my brother's Art Sweetner, and that's a last name that was given to them for performing.
Mm-hmm.
Their agent and their manager was Whitey Sweetner, and Whitey Sweetner was a man that took them traveling, and the reason why they changed the name was because he had to adopt them,
right,
to have an adult parent traveling with them, so they could go places without my mom and dad.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Sweetners out there that are really Rojos. And
okay. That's going to be interesting. And so you came out, started singing at age 11. That's when
around there.
That was your debut.
That was my debut with my family. And
what happened after that? You started singing.
I started doing talent shows. Basically anything that had something going on where they needed singers and whatever, I want to be there. and that's basically how I started. Yeah.
Well, we've been watching you. We watch you. We're stalking you, but
we ain't stalking him.
Yeah, but we love to hear you sing. And like I told you when you first got here, the difference, and one of the reasons I was anxious to have you on, and I want people to know you, is because you are truly an entertainer, and your love for
inspiration.
Entertaining shows when you move on the stage and you do what you do. Just as our executive producer, Sol Rodriguez, but to be Slow Sunrise, everybody, has his own band, and he's a performer too. And you could tell the difference between people who, just get up and sing, and people who love and to entertain.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
You said something that was very interesting. You said that when you get up on stage, you don't actually know what you're going to do when you get up there. I bet you that's something that y'all didn't know. You think that he's rehearsed, that he's just get up there and let it happen, or what? Just 1, 2, 3, and then that, or what?
A lot of people, I'm sure Soul knows that when you're on stage, performing, whether it's a big stage or just a house party or whatever it is that you're doing, it takes you away from a lot of other stuff that's happening in your life. We're normal people. We do normal stuff, and we have our situations. And when you're doing that, it all goes away. It doesn't exist. It's not there. And so basically going up and just doing things out of your head or whatever is perfect for that, because it gives you control of what you're about to do. And a lot of times I get people that are in the audience, and I don't, it's no disrespect towards the audience, but a lot of people come out. Sometimes I go out there and the lady's like, "Oh, you were smiling right at me."
And you really were.
I couldn't even see you. Sometimes the lights are on you. Sometimes you're not even focusing, and so you literally don't see people. And a lot of times you're focusing on what you're doing, and it's just, you're doing yourself up there. It's but yeah, we very rarely rehearse. We do, but it's rare, and it's only because we have something new coming up, or we're trying something different. But for the most part, the girl that sings with Bumptown is Becky Moon. Becky Moon is in my eyes, one of the best performers, ladies
she's
singers.
good too. Yeah.
And when we're up there, we're just making up stuff, doing stuff, and it's funny how we think alike when we're up there, and then our chemistry is really, really good, and then we just go ahead and let ourselves go, and that's how that works.
Well, and it shows. I mean, and hopefully we didn't ruin anything for you, because
No.
I'm sorry if you out there and you're starting to fall in love with him. He wasn't really looking at you, okay? So you husbands out there, don't go crazy on Mr. Rojo. If he's looking at your lady, he's not really looking at it. But no, I understand.
Some guys get upset.
No, I can understand. No, I've watched you, and I can see, and the girl's like doing this, and you see he's over here sitting like this, and I know what he's thinking. So I'm gonna kill him when he gets up. Don't hurt Adelante Rojo, okay? He's not real. He's entertaining. He didn't even really look at you. No, it's funny. It's good that you could say that, because it just shows us that, the show must go on, and when you're there,
Right. No, for the most part, they actually, I've had husbands or boyfriends or whatever call me, sing to her, please, and so it's you go and do that. There's a lot of people that love that. I love doing that. I love going into the audience, and just that's a big part of what I like doing.
And we discussed that's the difference I noticed between and I'm nobody. I can barely, when I get in the shower, I'm like everybody else.
Okay, let me hear you.
No, you don't. Okay.
Oh, you don't want to hear, man.
Let's get in the shower and let's sing. No, that's a whole different show altogether. But anyway.
Oh no.
But I forgot what I was going to say. I got embarrassed because she's always telling me, "Shut up!" And I'm thinking I'm like going crazy like Pavarotti or something like that. But what I wanted to say is it shows, because you guys reach out. And when I say you guys, because I'm talking to Soul back there, our executive producer. But I noticed that about you guys. They call it working the crowd, but it's not. It's
connecting.
Yeah.
It's, making it that much more better, right? I mean,
well, you're just making them feel what you're feeling at the time, and so to me, that's what it is. It's
that's what music's supposed to feel like.
Right, exactly. That's why. At least that's my part of why I love music, is because it brings people together, regardless of what race, what color, what you're feeling at the time,
right?
And that's what it does.
And so you're segueing into exactly what I wanted to ask you next, which is some of the more, I call it the more difficult questions, or maybe not, but thinking about ourselves and who we are. I had a meaning to ask you, what does being a Chicano mean to you? But I realized that perhaps you weren't. Chicano was a political term, which is now embraced by a lot second, third, and fourth generation Mexicanos, I call ourselves. People who were born in the United States. You were not born in the United States, but you have. I'm just assuming, but you have a deeper understanding of what I'm going to ask you. What does the word raza mean to you?
It means family. It means one culture. It means one world. I had my moments as I was growing up in the hood.
Yeah.
and I was all over the place. I was in East LA. Of course, cruising down Whittier Boulevard was like a big thing at the time, and I lived, through all the streets. But you learn as you grow up that it's not just you dress up and it's a lifestyle. It's something that you're part of, and whether you're a Mexican from Mexico that came over and started living a different kind of lifestyle and all that, it's a part of you, because it comes from Mexico, regardless of where you put it,
Exactly.
or how you know. Some people don't want to acknowledge that, but most of our ancestors came from Mexico, and that's where it all started. And so that's what, to me, I'll tell you, I went to Cancun a few years back, and back in the back of my mind, I always wanted to actually climb one of the pyramids. I don't know. Don't ask me why, but it was like a big deal for me.
Me too. You went to Chichen Itza.
And I remember climbing Chichen Itza and being on top, and I remember turning all around, just watching every corner of that area, and it was unbelievable how far you can see and what you see up there. And I understand they don't let you go up there anymore.
No, they don't.
But
Luckily,
I
we
was lucky enough to go and do that, and there's a specific feeling that you get that you know it all got started there, and that's it. It actually makes you feel like crying when you're up there. It really
Very
does.
proud, huh?
Well, yeah, because I mean, you know, yeah, they were savages. They did what they had to do for their survival.
To survive.
But isn't that what's going on nowadays? Is the same
it's
same
just a
exact
different
thing. We're all
form.
surviving.
It's just a different form now.
But it was interesting going back over there and living that, seeing that.
Wow.
And that's part of being Raza.
I never got that opportunity, but my honey told me all about it.
Well, but for a pocho like myself, pocho, it's another term for someone who wasn't born in Mexico. But anyway, that's a story for another day. But I had the same feeling. It was like mi sangre.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, my blood is here. You know, even if it's century and centuries old, there was some kind of a connection because for me, having been born in the United States, we're even, more removed sometimes, and we take hits, because we weren't born in Mexico, but, we struggle with somos mexicanos también.
Right.
We're Mexican also, or Mexican culture, or Mexican background, our parents or grandparents, whoever. And when I was there, I had the same feeling. I had a connection, I know where I came from.
Right.
And it's hard to explain, but maybe it is, and people out there understand.
It's funny you say that because when I was little, back in TJ, where we lived in a really, really poor area in Tijuana. You could go up on our rooftop because that's where my mother used to go and hang her clothes after she washed it, and actually face the border. And our entertainment was watching the helicopters, immigration, chasing people, and you could see. No, it was. That was our fun. Let's go up to the roof, and that's what we would see. People running with the big light on them, and stuff like that. But it's just so that you understand. To me, there was no border. I used to come across in a car, and I was never asked, "Are you born in Mexico? Are you American?" Whatever. To me, it was normal to come across. I was never. There was no such thing as papers or immigration or anything. To me, it was. I didn't know what I was seeing at the time when we would go over there and watch that. To us, it was like they're chasing people, But it was normal to come across the border because I did it all the time. I lived in San Diego at times and in TJ at times, and because of the family that we were with, and I never had that problem. In fact, I didn't even realize what that was till I was in junior high. When they came and they asked me, "Well, where are you coming from?" And I'm from Mexico, and they're like, "You're a wetback." And I was like, "Wow, I don't know what that is."
How did that feel?
It was weird because I first of all I didn't know what it meant. I had no clue whatsoever what that meant, and until I found out what it was like I still don't understand it because I wasn't that in my eyes. I learned the language since I was a kid, so it was normal. We came back and forth, and it was a normal thing to me. So so I didn't know the difference, whether you're Mexican or white or whatever.
You didn't know that they just called you something derogatory.
Right. It wasn't computing up there.
And so it's safe to say that being a wetback is not being raza, right? Raza to you is family.
Right.
It's
Yes.
tradition. It's the connection of the history.
Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I ask those questions about a lot of people because that's part of what we have Adelante Raza for, is to connect. And for those of us that weren't born in Mexico, it's just, that's our journey sometimes, to keep reconnecting and stay connected to our sangre, our blood, the place that we...
Well, it's interesting listening to you explain that analogy to us right now, because, I would have never thought of thinking of it the way you just explained it,
Right.
And I'm Mexican. My grandma was from Chihuahua, but my parents were born here in the States. So, but my grandmother raised me, so she showed me, that's how I learned Spanish. That's how I basically learned everything that, my morals, everything that I follow in my life. So I understand, but I never would have thought, that the question was just unbelievable with the way you just answered it.
That was a great analogy.
See, Whitey Swaitner was my brothers and sisters' agent, but he was also... we've always had our father and mother. He was like a father to all of us, in the sense that when we came to San Diego, that's where we stood, at his house. Whitey was not just an agent for them. He was well connected. He knew a lot of people that were known people, and so to us, to me, basically, because I was the youngest one, I know my brothers and sisters knew better, and but to me, it was just coming to San Diego, to Whitey's house. It wasn't,
right.
You're going across the border, you're illegal. It wasn't like that. In fact, they never. I remember as a kid, go ahead and go. I was in the car.
Boy, how times have changed, though, huh?
Oh, yes.
Now just going to the border and coming across is just ridiculous. I mean, it makes you kind of think, how did it ever even get that far like that?
Yes. In fact, most of our dinners, when I lived in San Diego, our dinner was going to Tijuana to a Mexican restaurant over there every night. And then we would drive back, and unless I went back home with my parents, to that place, I remember going as an adult back to that restaurant just for fun, just to go and say I used to come. The waiters and waitresses recognized me and remembered me, and it was because we went there a lot, and that was interesting.
That's nice.
Let me interrupt you guys for a second.
Go ahead.
We have maybe 5 to 10 minutes left on the batteries.
Okay.
So if you have any wrap-up questions,
Yeah, I do.
if you want to squeeze in, you need to do that.
Okay, I actually did. Andy, we usually end these segments with one question, and it's because we love our niños, our kids, and we want to. One of the reasons we brought you is because we believe you're a role model. Now we know that somewhere out there's a person just like Andy Rojo who's in their minds they're singing and dancing in their heads, What do you say to that kid? They're doing that, but I can't be like Andy Rojo. I want to be like Andy Rojo, and I know but I can't. Looking at that camera, what would you tell that child, that kid that wants to be like Andy Rojo? What do you got to do?
How do you tell them to keep on reaching for their stars?
Exactly.
I know everybody says this, but this it's true. I always say, and I've had this question asked of me quite a few times, and basically what I say is, just do what you want to do, follow your dream, don't let nothing stop you. Basically, be yourself, be humble, be nice about it. No matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, whether it's something really big or something at home, and that's your interest, then follow it, do it, and just keep on going, as far as you can go, and there's no ending to it. I mean, you can continue on and on, even if you're your own audience, keep on doing that, because that's what you love and that's what you want to do.
That's what you believe in, huh?
Yes.
So Andy, before we close, we want to make sure that you're a hard-working entertainer out there. We want people to know you more. And you already have a fan base that's crazy. I know they're out there everywhere. And everybody
want to know where you're at.
Everybody knows wants to know. Go and see Andy Rojo and stuff like that. And we honored you by not asking you the hair question too. So anyway, but what do you got coming? What do you got? What projects you got coming up or whatever? I know that we're airing this a little later than some of your performances that are coming up, but. What do you got going on, Andy?
Right now I have a CD that I'm working on. It's songs that are called viejitas. They're like from Los Freddys, Los Muecas. It's not a very big CD. It's a 7-song CD. It's done. We're working on the cover right now, and it should be coming up pretty soon. If you want to check us out, just go under bumptownband.com, or on Facebook it's Bumptown, or Andy Rojo on Facebook. But you can check out the schedule on bumptownband.com.
Do you also have a Twitter account?
No, I don't have a Twitter account.
No Twitter?
No.
So there you go, folks. Bumptown.com, right?
Bumptownband.com.
Bumptownband.com, and then of course Facebook Bumptown, and you can go stalk him at Andy Rojo, and so and we want to give a shout out to your lovely lady who's sitting over there. You guys just.
My girlfriend Diane.
You guys had an anniversary too. So again, thank you, Andy.
Yesterday was our anniversary. Yes. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Well, Andy, thank you so much for coming and honoring us with
Thank you for having me. And
we count it a privilege for you to let your guard down a little bit and to share this part of your life with us and with the people out there.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you in Colton pretty soon.
Yes, and thank you so much for giving of your time and your talent. Andy is one of the headliners for the Chicano Woodstock on September the 19th. So come on out, because he's going to give a performance like you won't forget. And again, we thank you, because we know we asked every entertainer to come and give of themselves for the community and for the people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you so much. We'd like to thank you for enjoying another segment of Adelante Raza. We didn't have a particular theme, but as always, we say, si se puede. Andy Rojo was a perfect example of si se puede, someone who has taken life and has just said, I'm going to be who I am and I'm going to continue. That's what makes our raza, people who take any kind of situation and make it better than they found it. If it's already better, they make it that much more. And Andy Rojo was part of that. And so we'd like to say thank you again for watching this segment. And
yes,
Adelante Raza.
Amazing.